You know, we are in a world of much interest in science and technology. And sometimes there are those who have the idea, because of the benefits of technology, we should just close our eyes and look at only one side of it. And I say, no, that's not being smart. For example, your telephones are beautiful devices, very helpful, and we all use them. Huge contributions to the world. Great technology. But then I told you about the implications on your health. I said, don't keep the phones close to you when you sleep. Not good for your health. What the same phone that's so good for you can do to you, health-wise. Destroy your health completely. And how that a lot of people are suffering from the problems they got from their phones, even though they may not admit it, which is out of their ignorance anyway. They would not admit it because they can't feel it when it's happening. You see, you can't know when it's happening. You can't know. And you might have used it so long, it's something you're used to. Carrying your phone in your pocket, you are in trouble. Can't carry your phone in your pocket. But who will tell you that? You expect the companies, the same companies that profit from it, to give you the warning? Or some who lie down and put the phone on their chest while they talk. That is terrible. You're going to have heart problems like you never thought in your life was possible. You're lying down with your phone on your chest while you're talking. And when the phone is on while you're talking is the worst time, because that's when it releases most of its power. Do damage to your heart, do damage to your lungs, do damage to your internal organs. Then you say, I don't know where this came from. You don't know where it came from. They're not going to tell you it's from your phone. But I did enough scientific research and I gave you the information. I gave you the information, scientific information. You can go and check the messages. In 2020, 2021, I did. As at the time I was talking about it, several scientists had warned the government to do something about it, and they wouldn't. They wouldn't. They had made representations to the EU. They wouldn't respond either. And then I put on the screen, on the large screen, a copy of the document that was sent to the EU, so you could see it. They hid all those things and wouldn't let anyone know that was going on. Same thing with your GMO fruits and vegetables. You know, through technology, we can scale up the production, scale up the sizes. I mean, you can get tomatoes as big as your head. You know, that's wonderful. So we're scaling up the numbers, scaling up the sizes. But are there downsides to this? And are we being told what the implications are? No one's telling the farmers or the consumers. Why the regulators who might know the truth accept bribes and keep quiet? And then you watch terrible things happen to the people. Unnecessary deaths. Hospitals are full of sick people who shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it's important to know the Word of God. What does the Word say? So as beautiful as these things might be, as beautiful as, you know, these lovely things we see in our world might be, we need to have the eyes of the Spirit. See with the eyes of the Spirit. Have the understanding of the wise. In 1 Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 32, I want to show you something. It says, and of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment. Among all the 12 tribes of Israel, only in the tribe of Issachar were there men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. They were gifted with the understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. He did it for Israel back then. He still does it for the church today. But not all blind. No. There are those among us who have the understanding of the times to know what God's people ought to do.